Well, before we kick off this episode, I got to tell you, Nature Bee have come up with something dangerous. Their new Power Bee Bite Bars. Chocolate caramel or peanut honey choc chip. They taste so good, you're going to forget they're healthy. Packed with protein, boosted with power pollen, they're perfect for the road, perfect for the shed, perfect for the man cave, perfect anytime you need a quick lift. And they're paired beautifully with your daily power pollen capsules to create the ultimate wellness routine. Links are in the description right now, but stick around, I'll tell you more.
Stop listening to the AM dial, to the boring AM shows. Sick and tired of counting sheep, but they're talking that never flows. And stop apologizing for the things you've never done. Time is short, life at night. Oh, it's up to us to do a show called The Man Cave. Yeah, do a show with Adam. Thomas holds the Man Cave line. Toby Ann is a real stunt girl. And Larry Canning, golf expert. Michelle Bishop's on the phone. Every Friday morning, we'll tune into the show. It's enough to make Luke Boner believe that his ratings will take the lead. A show called Man Cave. Yeah!
Time for the Man Cave with the Vice Captain Adam McDonald, General Manager of All Bids Auctions, the largest online auction company in the universe. Well, in the Southern Hemisphere.
Southern Hemisphere we'll go with.
The largest online auction company in Fishwick. Based in Canberra. Vice Captain, hello to you. Some
Morning,
exciting news. We'll get to that in just a second, but we want to welcome to the Man Cave our very special guest today, someone I've spoken to many times over the years. It's Scotty Phillips from the Motley Fool. Scotty Phillips, a big round of applause for you.
Thank you, Luke. Captain, Vice Captain, I'm humbled to be in your esteemed, august company. I can spit that out. Good to be with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's great to be with you. Just explain to Adam what Motley Fool is all about.
Oh, mate. So we give financial advice. We make stock recommendations, provide education, that kind of stuff to our members. That's the long and the short of it. No need for a big plug. But yeah, it's what we do. Hopefully do it reasonably well. The idea is we're not owned by any of the big brokerage houses or investment banks, so we can pretty much tell the truth and call it as we see it. I'm one of the very, very few finance people who gets to cover any topic, anytime, anywhere without any restriction placed on me by management. So it's a pretty good place to be, but it's pretty rare as well.
Oh, and you do it absolutely brilliantly. I've got some hot topics for you, but Vice Captain Adam McDonald, also star of the TV show Aussie Pickers. Were you a fan of the show, Scotty? Or were you one of the 3 or 4 people that watched it?
Yes.
Well, so you mean Adam? I don't know who the other one was, but yeah. It's such great TV, right? It's super compelling. That's one of the great things about it's pretty real. That's what I love about it. It's a very interesting. I'm sure. I'd love to tell you some of the behind the scenes stories, Adam. Quite frankly, but yeah, mate, great show.
No, there's a few. I'll give you.
I can imagine there would be. You can tell the stuff that made it to air versus what didn't. Yeah.
There's a few.
But the thing about Aussie Pickers, Scotty Phillips, and Adam can elaborate, is none of it was faked. They weren't. They weren't given a heads up and given time to do background on anything they watched. They got a phone call. They said, "Get your camera crew out to this barn or to this bloke's place, and let's just roll." It was all general knowledge and off the top of Adam's head. It's really impressive, isn't it?
It was like they'd say, "All right, we're going to see Henry. He's got cars," and that was it.
Yeah.
And that's all we got, and we'd go in blind, and like there was a guy with a dungeon in his shed. Like there's multiple stories.
It's just bloody impressive, Luke. To your point, like to have that breadth of knowledge. I mean, Adam, you're kind of working not to see your pants. You're obviously very, very learned guy, and you've done the work. But man, I don't know if I could put that. I mean, I get asked about stocks individually sometimes, but there's a couple of hundred. I know them relatively well. It's not that hard. I can't imagine Adam walking into a middle of nowhere and going, right, here's what we got. What is it worth? That's a massive skill.
Well, it's like if I haven't seen it, it's got to be special because I've been around the block a couple of times. I've seen a lot of shit in my life. So if I haven't seen it and I haven't seen one come up for sale, I'll have a go at it just on spec, like just on. It's like a punt,
But you kept it in your head though. That's the thing. You actually managed to kind of like, I can imagine going to a reference book but when you might have said it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe it was everything else you've done. You still got to pull that number out of your head and go, it's worth that. That's impressive.
Yeah, I think it's because when I got into this game, it was before the internet, before online catalogs, before search sites. So you had to it's like a punt. It's like the stocks and stuff, you have a feeling, you think, maybe this is going to blow up. I'm going to have a go at it. And by no stretch of the imagination do I win all the time. Like I take plenty of L's. Like I lose a lot, but the main thing is I win more. Yeah, exactly right.
You win more, which is the thing. And look, before we jump into some of the meat on today's Man Cave, there's a great story, Scotty, for you because you love a good investment. But as Adam just said, it is sometimes a punt and a gut feeling. Adam, tell our listeners again and tell Scotty about the Astro Boy that you found on a curbside cleanup.
Yeah, like in Sydney, they have the council cleanup. So once a month, you can put all your junk out. Me and my son, who we call Wonder Boy, were cruising down a back lane in Stanmore. And it was behind a childcare centre, and he said, "Dad, pull up. There's something in that box." And out of the box, there was an Astro Boy head. It was sort of yay big, sort of a size maybe of a volleyball. We pulled up, and inside this box, there was an Astro Boy figurine that would stand maybe 1.5 feet tall. It was all in pieces. We dragged it home. We fixed it up. We threw it at auction. I think we got about $3,000 for it. So there's plenty of money out there if you keep your eyes peeled.
$3,000 for a dismembered Astro Boy on a rubbish tip. You see, I love those stories. And one so more, good. Adam, the boom box.
Oh, which boom box? Like this is my bread and butter. I have.
Well, give us the best boombox story.
I've flown to Melbourne to buy a boombox, just to buy one boombox. But there's it's that sort of industry. Like Scotty, you'd be a kid of the '80s. I'm a kid of the '80s. Anything 1980s, I absolutely adore. I've got A-Team figurines. I've got Inspector Gadgets, Mr. T's. Like it's a thing for me. But boomboxes are my main thing. Before I moved to Canberra. When I lived in Sydney, I would have had maybe 200. And I had them stacked down my hallway as brickwork. And it looked like brickwork. And that black and silver look was just absolutely fantastic. And I sold them all at one lot. Yes. I kept the top 10, but I sold them all to a bar in Sydney. So, boomboxes are my bread and butter.
Very cool. Well done.
And one more, sneakers.
Yes, I do have a fascination with sneakers. Again, I've been wearing the same line of sneakers since 1991. Currently, I've got maybe 45 pairs that I rotate on a daily basis. But sneakers and boomboxes, that's my thing.
Now, you're talking about the 80s. I'm thinking KT26s and Dunlop volleys, but I'm sure it's not that, Adam. What's the go-to?
MX 90s. Yeah, but KT26s, it's that whole evolution of stuff. They are now really cool, like Asics and New Balance. They've made a resurgence, and they're now really cool. So Nike and Adidas and those sort of bigger brands are on the way out. And if you roll down the street in a pair of KT26s, I'll be giving you the nod. That's good. What do the kids say? That's good drip. Good drip, yeah.
Oh, it's good drip. Okay, I'll write that one down. They never lasted very long because they had the rubber bit at the front. The flap would always come off and come loose. You glue it back onto the shoe. Yeah, exactly. You glue it onto the shoe a couple of times, then it had to go.
But surely an original pair of Air Jordans is the holy grail.
Absolutely.
Is it or not?
The market for Air Jordans is huge. I bought a pair of Jimi Hendrix Jordans from a market store for $3. They don't fit me, but they're probably worth maybe in the condition they're in maybe $600. Very rare pair of shoes, but I found them at a market store, at a flea market. But they just sit on my mantle. That's just part of my interiors by Adams.
Okay, now before we finish today, and this is called a hook, we ask all our guests, Scotty Phillips, to name a toy that they had when they were young that's gone and you wish you'd kept it. And you've got something very special from the 80s, and we'll throw that at Adam a little bit later, okay?
Okay, all right, good. We'll hold that up.
Okay. Let's have a look at some news, Adam and Scotty, that I'd love your opinion on. I'll go to Scotty first on this, and that is Donald Trump's tariffs. Scotty, he's asked the US Supreme Court to overturn a lower court decision that found that many of these sweeping tariffs are in fact illegal. A divided US Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit last week ruled 7-4 that the tariffs Trump brought in through an Emergency Economic Powers Act did not fall within the president's mandate. If they are found to be illegal, Scotty, do we and all these other countries get our money back?
Maybe.
And the amount of money we're talking about, it could ruin the United States economy. Scotty, can you walk us through this? And I'd love to get your thoughts, Adam, after we hear from Scotty.
Yeah, look, I'll try and keep it short, boys, because tariff detail is pretty boring, but let's go through it. So effectively, Donald Trump, got to love the states, right? They got rid of a monarchy and then basically reinstituted a monarchy. The executive powers of the president of the United States, Trump, no pun intended, almost every Western democracy, the executive power that's provided to that one person, whoever they are, Biden, Trump, Obama, Clinton, whatever, that is really, really, really rare. And the president has the ability to declare a national emergency. And so what he did was declare a national economic emergency, and under those powers decided to implement tariffs to deal with that particular emergency. Now, what the court found was that it wasn't really justified. You couldn't say that the need to impose tariffs were a genuine emergency based on genuine circumstances that needed to be addressed really, really quickly in the moment. And so that's why the court has overturned this. Well, you can't do that. You can't pretend it's some emergency that somehow needs immediate powers. What you've got to do is get Congress to pass those tariffs, because Congress has the power in other circumstances outside a so-called national emergency to set those tariffs. Now, what happens next is open. Firstly, there's an appeal coming. Secondly, the court could say Donald Trump's okay. That's one option. The other option, they say, no, it's not okay, but Congress can pass a retrospective law to keep all that money. And of course, the claims of wrecking the economy are a very Trumpian way of saying, you can't overturn this because otherwise it'll be terrible, so I should get what I want. Now, that's hyperbole, right? So it's not going to wreck the economy in the US, it's not going to wreck the budget either. They've collected money they may or may not have to hand back. I've got to say, the US budget's in such diabolical shape that they can't really afford to give the money back, but equally, even if they don't, it's still in terrible shape. So if Trump is genuinely worried about the US budget, there's a million and one things he could do. He's not doing any of those other than complaining about tariffs. So that's where we're at. The court will decide. Congress can then subsequently pass laws that enshrine all of those tariffs, and it's a very Trump-friendly Congress, so we can assume it'll probably happen. What it would mean is Trump would, this is what he really hates, it would take that away as a negotiating tactic when it comes to dealing with world leaders, because he can't say unilaterally, I will do X. He's got to say, well, we might do X, I'll take it to Congress, they might pass it. So if you're in a negotiation, you want the threat in your back pocket, other world leaders will know, if this is taken away, that Trump can't do it unilaterally, and it does change the bargaining position a little bit. But no, most of the concern is bluster. It will be done one way or the other based on what Congress chooses to do if the appeals court does uphold the lower court decision.
Okay, before Vice Captain jumps in, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I did touch on this with Rod Hannafy on Truckee Tuesday, and that is the US trucking industry, listen to this, Adam, is screaming about these tariffs. It was meant to create more jobs, but there was a truckie we were talking to who said he used to drive 5 days a week. He now drives 2. And in a couple of weeks, he may be only driving once because supply has been choked. He doesn't have anywhere near enough cargo to keep going. And hundreds of thousands of jobs are going. And that these tariffs are seriously affecting the American economy. That's just one example, but farmers are spewing, everybody's spewing. And was Donald Trump badly advised? Or what do you make of this, Scotty?
Yes, horribly badly advised, and probably the people either badly advised by people he'd listened to, or he didn't listen to people who were giving him better advice. And it's probably more of the latter than the former. There is no serious, credible economist outside the absolute ideologue sycophants who reckon these tariffs are a good idea. And that's the reality. It's that simple, right? When you say, I think this, everyone says, no, it's a bad idea. You say, I'm going to do it anyway because I found one guy to agree with me. That's when you know you're in yes minister territory. And that's kind of what happened. And you can say you want to support the US economy, you want to support US jobs, you say you want to bring business back to the, like all those concepts, ideas are fine, probably misguided, but fine. The how you do it bit, look, it was always going to be the case. Not only is there going to be inflation in the US because prices are higher, the US hasn't got the manufacturing capacity to make up for what doesn't come into the country based on tariffs. The Australia Post, by the way, rules, or the rules about imports that were basically announced with 2 weeks' notice, meant even the stuff that they wanted to buy, they couldn't get because overseas postal networks couldn't collect the tariffs, which they were obliged to do under the law. So it's all this stuff of a decent idea, badly conceived, badly advised, or simply not listening to advice, and terribly implemented. You couldn't make it worse if you tried. Now, again, you can say, well, I want to look after US jobs. There's ways to do that. This is not that. Trump has a ideological and a kind of a fantasy bee in his bonnet that tariffs will solve the problems. We've seen the problems they've created. Unless the US can replace that manufacturing capacity, even if it was a good idea, you do it in a time frame that allows the capacity to catch up. So US haven't got either no products or super inflated products. Your conversation with the truckie is absolutely spot on. That's precisely what happens when you make bad policy on the run and you implement it in a ridiculous way. One more.
The other thing that's come to light, well, it's been around for a while, but this, you can explain this to me and Adam, is that one thing the United States desperately needs for manufacturing is what's called rare earth or unique earth, which contains particles that you need to manufacture computers and chips and technology. He doesn't have it. He has nowhere near enough, and he has to import it from where? China? From Ukraine? So he now has found himself in order to be able to build this technology, which he also needs seriously for defense. It's called rare earth elements. Explain this. And this is a massive stuff up because he's now going to have to import this stuff from countries he's imposed a tariff on.
Correct. And this was the stupidity of believing you can do everything in one place. You know, you can try, you can believe it, you can want it to be true. The US cannot be self-sufficient, nor can Australia, nor can China. I mean, we can, but we'd go back to 1940s living standards in doing so. Because as you say, they just don't have the geology is the geology, right? You don't get to choose. And now, not only are we better off in general because of trade, because I sell you what I do well, you sell me what you do well, we're both better off because we both make a sale and we get to buy it at a cheaper price than we do it if we made it at home. So you're already better off there. And then as you say, there's the things I simply can't do no matter whether I wanted to or not. Rare earth minerals, by the way, Australia's got heaps of them, which is nice. China, Ukraine, a bit in Asia, lots in Australia. These are, and go back to year 10 science, remember the periodic table. It's all the stuff down in the bottom right-hand corner largely, all those trace elements that are really, really
hey,
kind
Scotty,
of...
You've forgotten who you're talking to here, sunshine.
Pretend you went out the back having a durry, Luke. Let's assume you're in... If you were in class, you'd know. It's all these little trace elements. So you're right. They need to make electronics with. Batteries is the other thing, right? So not only computer chips, but the stuff that goes into lithium batteries, whether it's an EV or a battery on a wall or a mega battery. So yeah, you've got to have cooperative relationships with the rest of the world. Trade makes us better. It's an uncomfortable reality for Trump because he doesn't want to believe it. But you're right. Once you put tariffs on those things, all of a sudden you give that other party a bargaining chip and say, right, well, if you're going to do that, we're going to close off the rare earth capacity and see what happens next. What I like, for what it's worth, is he's made an enemy of China. But as I said, we've got lots of them. So we may well be able to do a deal with Trump if and when we need to, because he needs the rare earths. We don't import all that much from the US. So arguably, strategically, we're more important to them than they are to us, at least in this particular context.
Vice Captain, do you remember when you and I were talking to Michael Hope from Hope Estate here on the Man Cave? Of course, Hope Estate, along with every other wine-producing company in Australia, struggled when China put tariffs on our red wine. And Adam, do you remember Hope said, well, yes, it was devastating, but what we did was we found other markets. And we went to South America. We went to Europe. And we had to do something because our biggest overseas customer, besides the United States, China, had punted us. And we slowly had to recover. So they punted China. They had no choice, and they found other markets. Correct, Adam?
Yeah, that's right. What I find fascinating is Trump's mentality. Like, mankind has been trading with each other since our asses pointed to the ground. Like, it's a thing. That's what we've always done. That's what makes the world go round. Yep. It's ridiculous. This guy has been bankrupt 9 times, right? if I fall over 9 times, like if I try and jump a fence 9 times and fail, I thought maybe I'm going to use the fucking gate. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't get his mentality where, no, I've failed 9 times, but I still know what I'm doing. I'm still going to do what I want because this.
But he
that's
uses
exactly
other
right.
people's
This is
money.
very clever, and this is the most clever thing about Trump is the best way to invest is with other people's money. Don't put your own money into it. Use other people's money to say, oh, well, it didn't work. You walk away with your fat wallet and their skin. So I just find it fascinating that he can still be the president of the United States when he's failed so many times. I don't know what to say.
So that's the other thing, mate. So he trips over the fence 9 times. Not only does he not think I'll use the gate, the American people say, I'm going to get the bloke who tripped over the fence 9 times and make him the boss.
Build a bigger fucking fence.
That's the irony of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially on the southern border. Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, I remember when the wall in Mexico, and I said at the time, you show me a 20-foot wall, I'll show you a 21-foot ladder. But let's just get back to Trump because I find it fascinating, and you know more about this than me, Scotty Phillips. But how did Donald Trump? I mean, he says he got a modest loan of $1 million from Fred, his father. The truth is, it was $400 million. He inherited the company, and his father Fred was very clever, very frugal. Looked at books and thought, okay, what's my income going to be if I invest here? Trump didn't do any of that. There's a joke. How do you make a small fortune? Get Donald Trump to inherit a large one.
No.
But he uses other people's money. And it was the TV show The Apprentice. So let's quickly look at this, Adam. Mark Burnett, a very, very clever bloke, the executive producer of The Apprentice. It had done its time in the UK, and he thought, Donald Trump's an interesting character. He's loud, he's brash, he has this big gold persona. Let's do it in America. Let's do it in Trump Tower, and it was a massive hit, but it was all built on bullshit. And I remember people who were working on the program, and you can look this up. They said they went over to Trump Tower, all excited. His boardroom was a shit fight, torn carpet, chipped furniture. So they actually built a set on the 4th floor to look like a decent boardroom. Even the boardroom on the show, Adam, was all smoke and mirrors and sets. And yet that show propelled him and gave him this persona of being Superman. And it was all built on bullshit.
What I find fascinating is these dynasties like Trump's father, clever, made a lot of money, gave his son some money, squandered it. The Murdochs, James Packer, those sort of people where dad was great at what he did, tried to teach his kids to do what he did, and they're just not. They just don't have it. Kerry Packer was a very smart man and very clever and very good at what he did, but then he handed it to James, and James has got a casino that doesn't even allowed to open.
But Trump has millions of dollars that he's got to pay up for civil suits that he's lost. He's in debt. I'm just thinking of things like the casinos in Atlantic City that razed to the ground. It just went broke. He went overboard, and his advisors were saying there's no need to cover everything in gold. But he did. What about the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan, Scotty? One of the world's most beautiful boutique hotels. He bought it for $400 million. It went broke. He sold it. But he owes money. But the bankruptcies that he's faced, as Adam just alluded to, it's other people facing those bankruptcies. And yet Donald Trump benefits from the tax benefit of a losing business. So he's got the tax benefits, but not the responsibility of the bankruptcy. Scotty, please, can you help me here?
I don't want to be unkind to our American listeners, but it's a very American story, right? I mean, we hate a tall poppy. They love the kind of the flashy success story. And again, massive generalizations in both areas. I'm not a big Donald Trump fan. I think the guy's not fit to be president personally. That'll annoy some people, but let's put it out there. The reality, though, mate, is that he's done well, in air quotes, because he's come back those 9 times or 10 times, right? Trip over the fence 9 times, have another go. The fact is the system hasn't stopped him. People haven't walked away. He's walked back and said, can I have some more money, please? And gone, yeah, here's some more money. Go knock yourself out. I mean, at some level, the chutzpah and the sheer arrogance and hubris of a bloke who can keep doing that is, I don't know if it's impressive, but it's something, right? Because he's literally just kept turning up, and people keep giving him money. At some level, their fault more than his. The irony of that, of course, is it's all about the bluster. It's all about the show. It's all about the gold toilets and about everything else. The so-called art of the deal, which was a book apparently he didn't write, but was a ghostwritten by someone else. He's been that guy, and to his credit, you have to say, if he wasn't shut down the first time, the second time, or the third time, the person who gave him money last time, because maybe this time it'll work. I mean, they're the mugs in the story. What's annoying of the Apprentice stuff, as you talked about, is they gave Trump a platform. He was able to basically astroturf his background, his career, come out as this mega billionaire that somehow had the answer to all the problems. And he got elected by amplifying the issues rather than actually suggesting real solutions. Yeah. And let's not get into politics necessarily, but that's kind of what happened here. Was there was no solution from Trump. There still is no solution from Trump. Everything he's done, almost without exception, since taking office is ridiculous and populist and frankly, terrible policy, terrible economics. But people still love it because they want to believe that amplifying the problem is better than actually trying to find a solution. And by the way, a pox on both their houses. If the Democrats can't put up a single person that looks better than Trump as a potential, if the Republicans can't find someone better either, what does that say about politics and about? By the way, we may not be far away from it here at home, but yeah, and that's the irony.
I was about to say. I mean, a government is only as good as its opposition. There's shit opposition in America, and there's at the moment shit opposition here in Australia.
Yeah.
Just
100%.
one more quick thing on Trump. The whole persona was built on this completely false narrative.
Yeah,
but he got there.
Yeah.
But the Republicans, I believe, ignored their fake news. They ignored the misogyny, the narcissism. It's okay to grab a woman on the pussy,
right?
But I believe that they thought Trump was a good businessman and would fix the economy. The figures, these aren't my figures. The figures are the economy's shit. It's getting worse, and the cost of living is the worst it's been in 18 months. Now, he was questioned at the White House, and they said, food does cost more. You're saying groceries are cheaper. They're not. Here's the proof. Oh, yeah, but at least the money people are spending on groceries, it's American money and American goods. And then he brought up this extraordinary thing, Adam. He said, what child needs $30? $3 is enough for a child. So now he's telling parents how many dolls their children should have because those dolls are imported from China. So he's now telling you don't need all these dolls. You don't need the fancy food that you were used to, and if you don't drive an American car, you're a traitor. So but when the midterms come up very, very soon, Scotty, that'll be the proof of the pudding because these Republicans that thought he was going to make their life better, I think are finding out he ain't.
I hope so. I fear, Luke, that the rhetoric still wins. I think I'm pretty generous to the Republicans saying they picked him because they thought he was a better businessman. I think they picked him because they thought he was popular. And so it seemed, right? I think rationality, I'd love to believe you're right. I don't mean it critically. I think that the evidence is people buy the story, they don't buy the facts. And we see that so frequently across politics. I think Donald Trump promised to make America great again. And that was, look, again, to his credit, he is a master marketer. He built the Trump brand such that it should be, Trump should equal 9 bankruptcies. Instead, it equals success and lavishness and gold and all that kind of stuff. At a political level, he said, I will fix your problems. I will let you go back to the good old days with picket fences and everyone had a job and all that kind of stuff. I'll make America great again. And people went, I'm going to suspend my disbelief. I need to hope he's right. And I think that's why I'm in a pox on both their houses, because the Democrats and Republicans outside Trump, remember the Tea Party? That was a supposedly laughable fringe rump, 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
Yep.
That's Trump's Republicans. I mean, they won, despite the fact it was all silly at the time, because no one could put up a better solution. Americans felt like their lives were getting worse. Trump's not fixing it, but he's the only one who said, I will fix it with all these grand plans, and if you close your eyes, tap your toes and say there's no place like home, everything will be okay. And people just went, I want to believe. It's X-Files stuff, right? I want to believe. And I reckon that was enough. Other people said, well, no, Trump can't because, and it was fine, but they didn't present an alternative aspiration. And no one is more aspirational than the Yanks. And he just walked in and gone, I will fix your problems for you. I will make it great again. Those people all suck. Let's drain the swamp. A master communicator, if nothing else, and almost nothing else. He's just sold the lines, and people bought it because they wanted to believe.
it's like, and I'll quote a great man here, Cosmo Kramer. Trump's he's not selling the steak, he's selling the sizzle. So it doesn't matter what the nuts and bolts of what he does is. He's got a good slogan. He's a good talker, and he just reminds me of that. You're being in class, and there's that one smart ass. Like when he does these debates, there's that one smart ass kid at the back of the class that when you say something to him, he's always got a snide comeback, or always like a deferring comeback. Like, oh, but what about this? Oh, but what about that? So he doesn't actually answer anything. He just puts off the question almost with another question or a snide comment or say, and so in essence, he's saying fuck all. He's just putting it back on you. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to make you work for it, and you look silly because I've got a smart ass comment, and that's what he's doing. And the Americans love that. They fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Adam, as a avid expert in memorabilia and merchandise, I've got to ask you this.
Really?
So Donald Trump, who desperately needs money, he's branched off into some pretty serious merch. Now, I noticed there were gold Trump sneakers. You've got all the MAGA merchandise, yeah. You've got the Donald Trump Bible. He said, let's make America pray again. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. I am not making, Scotty knows. Let's make America pray again. There's the gold-covered Donald Trump Bible. There are Donald Trump watches, all endorsed. It's watching him flog this stuff as President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief. It's like watching those 2 a.m. advertorials on the television. But wait, I'm waiting for the bloody steak knives.
But wait, there's more. Exactly right. Like fucking Tim Shaw. Yeah, exactly right. He's like Tim Shaw. He's just flogging everything. I don't know about. I mean, it's a very American thing. Like the president has his own merch. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'd be wearing an elbow hoodie.
But would the sneakers, the MAGA, the red hats, the Trump Bible, and the watches and everything else, are they going to be worth money down the track?
Yeah, they will. I had a Make America Great Again hat come through, an original hat come through the auction, and it was just the hat, and I think it sold for maybe $150, and it was just a red cap with "Make America Great Again." So I guess the market that he's selling to will pay a lot of money for it. Do you know what I mean? Like they go, yes, let's wear the hat, let's wave the flag, let's read the gold Bible, go America. That's his market. That's his demographic. Last
thing, both of you. I don't know who wants to go first. The attempted assassination. There are conspiracy theories now that it aided his campaign. It certainly aided his campaign. Is there a conspiracy surrounding this? You guys look at the internet. Who wants to go first? Conspiracy?
About the attempted assassination. What a load of horse shit. I've never seen anything more staged in my life. Like that photo with his fist pumping and his bodyguards around him and blood on his face and that was get the photo op. Like that was the most perfectly planned. That got him in. I reckon that got him in. That's all the Trump supporters going, yes, he survived. He dodged it. He took a bullet for us, even though it was through the ear from some kid that was 13 years old from fucking 500 meters away on a windy day.
He was shot dead.
What a load of horseshit.
He was shot dead.
Oh, what a load of horseshit. As soon as I saw it, it was laughable. It was like the fucking moon landing.
Scotty, are you going to weigh into the conspiracy on this or not?
I'm not a conspiracy guy. I do agree with the vice captain. That was the point at which he won the presidency. He was unbeatable from that moment. There are still people using that image as their bloody Twitter, image. I've got a follower on Twitter who used that as his. Yeah, right. And it was a moment. It was the moment. The photo itself, that sealed the deal, right? And everything from the religious right of God spared him so he could run the country and all that kind of garbage. Look, and again, we've talked so much about appearance and the want to believe that was it in a nutshell, right? Not only did he take the bullet, he survived. He's going to lead us. Came back, arm in the air, all that sort of stuff. You couldn't have scripted it better. If it is a conspiracy, it's a bloody good one. It worked really, really well. That was the moment. Ironically, the moment that lost Peter Dutton, the Australian Prime Ministership, was when he backed up to Trump and said, we're going to be like him, which is fascinating in itself. So there's different issues here. And of course, getting the vote out, a whole different electoral system. But yeah, that's what got Trump the election. The problem is, what was the choice, right? I mean, Biden was a shambling mess by the end of the campaign. Harris was parachuted in later, and I've got to say, rightly or wrongly, trying to throw a woman of non-white background who's female into a deal is going to be a vote loser because some Americans simply wouldn't vote that way, and that's ugly but also real. So you had this kind of weird half campaign. All Trump's got to do is keep riding through with it. We wanted to believe anyway. You throw that on top of it, and you say Sleepy Joe and Crooked Kamala or whatever. It was just it's an advertising campaign. I mean, politics is all advertising, it's all marketing, right? But nothing was pure advertising, pure marketing, pure sloganeering than this stuff. The consumer goods companies, if they could get hold of Trump's, and frankly, again, genius, I don't like him at all, and he's not particularly smart in a lot of areas. What he can do is craft and sell a message that just resonates, and he just absolutely nailed it and continues to, by the way. For all of what you're saying, Luke, back to your question about the midterms, I hope it's a wake-up call for America. I suspect it won't be because they still want to believe. No one's presenting a credible
alternative. They want to hit 10 thumbs.
Right,
yeah. They want to trip over 10 gates now.
Right, anyway. Yeah, literally, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. It is fascinating, Scotty. Thank you for that. I wonder if this Trump merchandise. Keep an eye on it, Adam. Can you keep an eye? I want you to tell me.
I will. I will.
I want to know how much a Trump Gold Bible is. I want to know what the sneakers are. They're gold sneakers with a big T on them. And I want to know how much they are. And then let's see how much they go for on eBay next week. Can you follow this for me, Vice Captain?
Yeah. They're on eBay at the moment for $153.
The Trump sneakers.
And they're god-awful looking things.
And what about the Bible?
They've got like the American star, the stars. The Bible's about $100.
Okay.
By the way, boys, quickly on merch. I was in the US a while ago now. Must have been during Trump's first presidency. And you go to the gift shops in the airports.
Yeah.
And they have merchandise with the president, and there was Obama merchandise, there was Trump merchandise, t-shirts, bobbleheads, mugs with the number on it, and the crest, and the faces. It is madness. It is absolutely, again, to your point, Vice Captain. Imagine Albo or a Peter Dutton or a Susan Lay, kind of a bobblehead doll being sold in a gift shop in Sydney Airport. It is bizarre. It's so strange.
If I could find a bobblehead John Howard, I'd have it.
With the eyebrows.
With the eyebrows. That would be a great bobblehead. Or a Peter
Imagine
Dutton.
how big the Peter Dutton bubblehead would be. It'd be like this. It'd be hard to pick up off the shoulders. These Trump sneakers, they're called the Donald T. Gold Never Surrender High Tops.
Oh,
Never surrender.
That's it, right? It's the tagline.
That's
the
what
tagline.
they're called.
They love the shit out of that.
Yeah.
It is just, why would you not call it that?
Yeah, they do. They love us. Love us.
Oh, yeah.
So, Vice Captain, your homework is, so we want to know what they're worth today. And next man cave, tell me if the price has gone up. Tell me, do we buy today and sell next week? That's what I want to know. Okay.
Righto.
Okay.
Righto.
By the way, once again, the book is called The Lucky Loser. New York Times investigative journalists Suzanne Craig and Russ Buettner. We've reached out to Russ Buettner, and hopefully we can get him on because he's an interesting character. Can we stay in America for a second for a completely different reason, or maybe not?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's stay there.
Okay.
What a time.
By now, everybody has seen the Phillies Karen in action. The most unbelievable footage. Some stories just write themselves. And in the wake of that Polish executive who stole the baseball cap, the cap at the US Open, Polish businessman Piotr Zakrek, who, by the way, has been sacked from his company now. I didn't think it could get any worse, but it has. What happened was this woman sparked a wild online backlash at the Phillies Marlins MLB game in Florida. What's happened is, and you've both seen the footage, so I'll get your commentary. A ball has been hit into the stands, a home run, and it's up in the bleachers, and there are plenty of spare blue seats. It's not packed. And the ball's bounced around. Everyone dives in to grab it. This guy's got the ball, handed it to his son, given his son a hug. It's made the little boy's day. And then up comes this. Let's have a listen. Unbelievable. It's mine. That's mine. You took it away from me. So the father just says, oh, fuck. Gives them the little boy was looked after. First of all, a staff member came up with a big bag of goodies and merch, and the crowd all saw it because it's now up on the big screen. Then he was invited down to the dressing room later with his family. He got a bat, he got a ball, he got more merchandise. And this woman has been hounded. Who is the Philly Karen? And the wrong people have been accused. And but the internet is absolutely ruthless with this sort of stuff. And someone will find out if by the time this podcast drops, I bet you that she's already been found. Who wants to go first on this?
Go, Scotty.
All right. Oh, what a mess, right? Like, again, speaking of staying in the US, I don't want to blame the Yanks, right? I got some American relatives. Is there? I'm almost speechless because I can't understand the idea of this woman just carrying on about a bloody baseball of all things. The idea of jumping in and kind of wanting to be kind of take that back out of the kid. I mean, now that being said, mate, I will say we can probably turn this down a little. It's a fun story. But I also reckon Philly's Karen probably doesn't deserve whatever grief is going to come her way once she's finally identified, and the hate that'll come from that and all that kind of stuff. I think we can probably be responsible, maybe making these things a bit big and a bit kind of, the hatred is probably going to be OTT. It was a stupid thing for her to do. It was complete carry on and completely unnecessary. Does she deserve what she gets on one level? Does she deserve the amount of it that's probably going to come her way with vitriol and death threats and God knows what? From a brain explosion. I don't know. I reckon we take that too far, guys. I'm glad I wasn't a kid in the internet age, right? God knows what would be on social media about what I got up to in my teenage years. It wasn't terrible, by the way. I didn't break any laws, but, no one wants that stuff. At some point, we probably take it too far. But, man, guys, get a grip. Like, just, I'm also a bit torn on the dad's thing. I mean, he said afterwards he did the right thing. He'd want to de-escalate it, just kind of make it go away rather than making it a bigger deal, gave her the baseball. I'm not sure I would have, I've got to say. I'd be like, hang on, I'm giving this to my kid. You can scream and yell all you want, but the kid's keeping the ball. All's well that ends well, as you said, Luke. The Phillies looked after him. And by the way, good on them. They've done a brilliant job of coming out smelling like absolute roses when everyone else looks like the alternative. So a pretty good result. But, yeah, I just get a grip, people. It's not that big a deal.
Vice captain.
Having looked at all the footage that's available, it wasn't her only misdemeanor for the day. Like, she was flipping the bird at people. She fronted other people about being rude or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, if I was that dad, there's absolutely no fucking way she would have got that ball off me. Apparently it was a kid's birthday that week, and that was his birthday present to go to the ball game. He gets a home run ball. Like, you're living the dream. And then this thing comes over you and demands the ball back. There's no way I would have given her that ball unless I stuffed it down her throat. I'm telling you that right now. That was the dad and son's day. She was out of control. I get what you're saying, Scotty, that she's probably the shit she's going to cop's going to be over the top. But that's just the American way, Like, there's no way if that happened in Australia, you'd call the guy a fuckwit, you'd say you're a wanker, whatever. But you wouldn't say, I'm going to come and kill you because you've got that kid's baseball. Like, that's not our that's not in our DNA. But that's, again,
exactly.
Go America. That's the state of play.
And it's the state of the world with the internet.
Yes.
And as we saw that executive on Kiss Cam, remember
the Coldplay thing. That's right.
The Coldplay Kiss Cam thing.
Yeah.
You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. And the Philly Karen will be found out. I get the feeling that the world might turn a bit in her favour, thinking she's been hounded enough and the whole thing's blown out of proportion. The world is very good at a pile-on, but when do you stop the pile-on?
And that's my issue. Look, I think, mate, I don't know. I'm old-fashioned, right? Like, let's not make a bigger conversation, but, when a court imposes its penalty, then the penalty is the penalty. We kind of like to really, once we find a public enemy number one, we like to really, really, really destroy their lives. I kind of think you do what you do, you pay the consequences, you move on. There was a time, and I'm not going to stick up for criminals for the sake of it, but there was a time when you did your time, and then that was paid for. That was the point. The penalty was imposed, and you weren't necessarily innocent again, but it was kind of like, right, you've done. This is what society says you deserve. You've got what you deserve. Now let's get on with life. If you do it again, we'll get you again. But if you don't do it again, then you've paid your penalty to society, right? That's kind of the point. But these days we want to say, well, you've done that, and now we're going to make you do this, and now we're going to expose you in public, and now we're going to make sure you never work again. And you're right. We're like a pylon. It makes us feel better. The vengeance has always been a very, very popular pastime. It's not new, by the way. It's always happened. The problem is it amplifies with social media. It stays in people's consciousness and stays on record in social media because that's what we have these days. Once upon a time, you do something wrong in Tasmania, you move to Victoria and start again. You get on with your life. These days, the internet's forever. Do people deserve it? Maybe at some level, but I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people who thinks the court decides a penalty and that's the penalty on behalf of society, then we move on. If we want bigger penalties, then do that. I don't know. I reckon that's enough.
Okay. Well, we've been rewarded with 3 magnificent gotchas with the Kiss Cam Coldplay, with the hat with the hat at the US Open, the tennis, and now the Philly Karen. Maybe, just maybe, these cameras that can zoom in anywhere, and because of the internet, will it make people think twice about behaving a little bit better, knowing that they could be watched?
Do you know what, Luke? Probably. I'll let you get advice, Captain. The other thing I will say quickly is I worry that so think about it, who's going to be in politics these days? You know, take out everybody who's made a mistake between 0 and 45. Only those who are left get to play in politics or play in business. And it's a victory of optics over policy potentially. So I know it wasn't the question you asked, mate, but I really do worry about who's left. I mean, the boring kids who sat in the middle of the class, never did anything wrong, never had an opinion, never tried anything. God, I mean, if the three of us have ex-girlfriends who might say, you know, mean things about us if we got to politics, or you know, the guy who told me, you know, Technicolor yawn on the garden outside the pub, or you know, like I don't know, mate. I think some of that stuff we need to accept people are yes, punish people who make mistakes, yes, call them out, yes, make them apologise. But if we're going to say only those who've never ever tried, failed, lost, screwed up get a go, I don't know who that leaves, and I'm not sure I want those people to be the only people in charge, quite honestly.
All right. The Man Cave with the Vice Captain, Adam McDonald from All Bids Auctions, star of the TV show Aussie Pickers, and Scotty Phillips from The Motley Fool. Okay, it's time for Adam the Expert. Scotty, as we do here on The Man Cave, our guests are often asked, is there something from your childhood that you cherished that's long gone, but you wish you'd hung onto it? Vice Captain, I'll let you take it away. Scotty, what is your item?
Look, about 1981 and 1982, speaking of being a child of the 80s, Vice Captain, I had a blue BMX. And it was one of those ones that had the blue frame, it had the blue tires, had the blue handlebar kind of grips, the blue, you know, the cushion things. If you fell on the bar, you didn't hurt the old fella. And it was it was my first BMX. It was when I learned to ride on the old man running behind me, holding the back of the seat. And it was just a thing of my pride and joy. I don't even know when it went. I suspect sometime after I left home, Mum and Dad might have just quietly got rid of the thing. But it was absolutely my pride and joy. One of the best memories, best things I had as a kid back in the day.
Yeah, the BMX market. That's when BMX started, probably about 1974, 75, it was bicycle motocross, basically, where took the bikes from riding on the streets and you're doing jumps and tricks on a track. There was probably four main high-end BMXs. There was the Redline, there was the Mongoose, there was the for me the holy grail was the Skyway. Okay. Now the Skyway, they basically reinvented the wheels. They went from spokes and they invented what they call tufts. Remember the tufts where they were plastic? They were plastic spokes, and the market for those early BMX is absolutely huge these days. Probably about a year and a half, no, probably about 2.5 years ago when I was still in Sydney, I saw this kid in Campsie near my house where I was living. He was riding a vintage Skyway, and I pulled up next to him. Me and one day I pulled up next to him, and I said to the kid, he would have been about 15, and I said, "Mate, do you want to sell your BMX?" And he turned around to me and said, "My dad said someone would say that to me. No way."
That's brilliant.
Wow.
Those sort of early BMXs these days in good nicker, you're looking at $3,000-$4,000. Like they are very, very well sought after. Right. They're very well sought after, and there's a you know, like I always say, it's that 40-year itch where you had one as a kid, you got a bit of money behind you now, and you're trying to buy back your childhood. So these, you see, I saw an old bloke a bloke about my age in Darlinghurst the other week riding a Redline, and as soon as I looked at him, I said, "I know what you're doing, man. You're 15 again, aren't you?" And he was happy as a pig in shit. He was loving it. But yeah, there's a lot of money in those early BMXs.
Oh, that's great. Wish I had it.
So Scotty Phillips blue BMX. What do you know? What brand was it? The Mongoose, the Sky? What was
it was a Mongoose, mate. I can't remember from my own childhood, but I did look it up to try and find out what it was, and I think it's the Mongoose that I had. I'm pretty sure it was with the Mongoose brand on the.
Yeah, Mongoose was a good brand, and they had sort of different ranges of Mongoose where you would have one that you could do tricks on, but the one you would have had would have been strictly for the BMX track. That's why they had all the pads and stuff. In case you come a cropper and lose your nutsack on the middle bar.
Yeah, I have to say I did land on it a couple of times. Like, thankfully, the padding was there because otherwise it might have been a very different story. And I might have been speaking with slightly higher pitch at the moment.
But yeah, very, very, very collectible.
$3,000 possibly.
I'm just really impressed, Luke, that Bonafide Podcast is going to buy it for me. I think that's a really generous thing of you to do, and my pleasure being a guest. But if you want to buy me my BMX back, I'm happy with that. That's fine.
Scotty, sorry, mate, you're cut in out. Can't.
Yeah, mate, there's a lot I wish I'd kept. Don't get me started on old cars as well. We could be here for hours, but so many old Transformers too. I almost threw that one up as my one of those wish I'd kept things, but the really proper Transformers, they were just amazing. Little cast iron ones. Or die cast.
Yeah, the very, very collectible. The Optimus Prime was my favourite. That's what I had. He was the big Kenworth looking truck with the big trailer.
He was brilliant.
He was my favourite.
What was the plane one? The fighter jet.
All that.
He was one I had.
Oh, you tested.
Yeah, he was one I had. He was great.
Yeah, I got no idea.
The wings folded out to be kind of slides behind his legs. It was fantastic.
What was their slogan? Transformers.
More than meets the eye.
Robots in
disguise. Yeah, I still sing the theme song, by the way.
That's right.
I won't, but I could.
Yeah, exactly. It just came back to me then.
To destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, as the theme went.
The Decepticons, yes.
You see, I'm a Gigantor boy. Fair. I'm a bit older.
Yeah.
Gigantor, the big space robot. His power is in your hands. One of those wacky doody Japanese cartoons like Astro Boy. I loved it. Gigantor. Anyway, that's just me. I've just had a thought. If there was a bunch of kids all riding around on their mongoose, they would be a gaggle of mongoose.
But nicely done.
Terrible.
Scotty Phillips from The Motley Fool. Tell us how we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, look, jump at fool.com.au is the website. I'm on social media all over the place. Just look me up. You'll find me. I'm plenty of opinions, Luke, which is why I appreciate you having me on the podcast. But yeah, come and find me there. Otherwise, listen to the Bonafide podcast.
And if I know you're a keen investor, Adam McDonald, tell us about the Lamborghini wine. Listen to this, Scotty, before you go. You've got to hear this.
Yeah, so I landed 24 pallets of wine directly from the Lamborghini factory in Italy. You cannot buy it in Australia. I have exclusive rights to selling it. It's going to go live online next week. All unreserved, all good to go. There's merchandise with it as well, so keep your eyes peeled. This is the deal. I think this is the biggest deal I've ever pulled off, to be honest. I got it
That's super cool. Lamborghini wine.
Lamborghini wine directly from the Lamborghini factory. So you know the story about the Lamborghini car, Scotty? How he started? Yeah, go on. So Lamborghini first started making tractors. And did quite well at making tractors. And so when he was made so much money, he bought a Ferrari. So he's driving this Ferrari around and he was having trouble with the gearbox. So he contacted Enzo Ferrari and said, look, there's something wrong with the gearbox. I think you should do this, this, and this to make the gearbox better. Enzo Ferrari turned around and said, listen, mate, you're a farmer. You make tractors, go away from me. And so Lamborghini went away and said, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to make a sports car. And that's exactly how the Lamborghini sports car came about, strictly out of spite, strictly to get one over Enzo Ferrari.
Pure spite.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful story. So this wine is directly from the Lamborghini family. I think it's the daughter that started the winery. All high end wine. It's a good drink. So keep watch. Allbeards.com.au. It'll be up next week.
I've got to say this. There's no way in the world Scotty Phillips or myself could possibly endorse this without trying it first.
I'm at this point. Not only get a $3,000 bike, I'm getting a pallet of Lamborghini wine from Adam. Thanks, Adam. It's very kind. Well, half a pallet.
Scotty Phillips from The Motley Fool. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Scotty for being our special guest on the Man Cave today. I hope you had fun.
I had an absolute ball. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Vice Captain. Pleasure has been all mine. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We talk shit, don't we?
Oh, God, yeah. That's what's great about it.
But it's just like three mates in the pub. That's what we do here in the Man Cave. Three mates in the pub dribbling on.
Doesn't get any better.
Vice Captain, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, have a look at our new Instagram page, EHVA. So with Allbeards, we've got an umbrella company called Evans Hastings Valuers and Auctioneers, which is more specialised to the antiques, art, collectibles. Have a look at that, EHVA on Instagram. Get a follow. You'll have a good insight to what I do down here in beautiful Canberra.
Doing that right now, Vice Captain.
Yep, jump on, get a follow.
Thank you so much, Scotty.
Nice to meet you, Scotty. We'll talk again.
Thank you so much. Episode 52. Well done, Kelsey, the millennial. She's a star. Luke Boner, radioguy@gmail.com. Check us out on our Facebook. Luke Boner, that radio guy is where you'll see us. Send us more voice messages. And if you'd like to be on the Bonafide podcast, let Kelsey know your contact details and we'll get you on because your opinions matter. The Bonafide podcast, where we don't tell you what to think, we just like to give you something to think about.
Luke, don't you have a thought for the day?
No, not really. I have a reflection.
Okay.
Well, it's a bit disappointing, actually, Kelsey.
Okay.
Well, I went and bought a chicken to make sandwiches.
Mm.
It doesn't. It just shits on the floor.
Oh my God. That was
Goodbye.
so bad.
Need a post-show pick-me-up? I know what I'm grabbing. Nature Bee's new Power Bee Bite Bars, packed with protein, boosted with pollen, and they're bloody tasty too. And they're just $14.95 a box. Pair them with your Power Pollen capsules. You're going to thank me later. You can grab a 6-month supply of Power Pollen for just $160, and they'll throw in an extra month and 2 bars of their famous pollen and honey soap for free. Nature Bee's got everything you need to keep energized all day, every day. Do not wait. The ultimate wellness routine is just a click away. Head to the description now